Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash-flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Petersen.
All right, we are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having a great day, whatever day it is for you, and wherever you are. Usually it is Friday on the podcast, but we're coming from a Thursday, new energy. It's a good day though, because we got Katie Kim with us on the podcast here from the Kim Group and the Katie Kim Educational Platform. Katie is a developer. She has done over $100 million in development. So if all you guys out there who are interested in going ground up, you don't want to buy a flip, you want to take it from the dirt, this is the episode to listen to. I'm excited to jump into it because I have never done development. I don't know a lot about it. And so Katie is here to teach me. So Katie, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, Gabe. Appreciate to be here.
Absolutely. I told you before we got on here, we always like to start with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got here?
Nice. Well, I love stories because we learn the scars through them and gives us a chance to vet in therapy a little bit. So I grew up in a construction real estate development family. So I like to tease that I was a victim of child labor law, going on to job sites and having to go to like soccer practice and then build walls or, hang shingles or, anything, and really grew up in the family business, but learned how to be like the doer in the business. And then I went and I got my college degree, went for a stint in consulting, went for a startup, and then was kind of looking at how to get back and what I wanted to do next. Really like, what's my passion? What's my mission? And my parents were like, come back and take over the construction company. I'm like, no, I don't want to leave Chicago. I love it. And after my husband and I started talking about it, it's like, yeah, let's learn how to do the development. We had started investing in real estate, and a couple of your other episodes I was listening to, they talk about buy a property a year and just keep going. And that's what I did. As soon as I graduated college, I bought a condo, then I bought another one and another one. And, I was single with, a nice salary and a boyfriend that took me out for, dinner and stuff. So I really didn't have any living expenses besides my condo. And that is one thing I wish I would have kept doing. I stopped a little bit after 5 years, but, in that cycle, learning how to put together the deals was really where I started to get creative. I mean, I had kind of, to go back again, I'd done my first deal at 16 where I was basically a front for some structuring on it, but definitely got a little clip for it. And then I realized like you can do deals with no money in if you start to really structure them right, and you can actually get paid to do deals. And after I kind of learned that, if then else type of a setup in deals and developments, and kind of like put everything on the map and then funnel it down, my brain just went crazy. And about what are the opportunities? How do you make an impact? And really, how do you get not only your development to be sustainable, financially viable, but then ripple into the community where you can have additional opportunities? And so I love that. And getting into, as you said, ground up. I love a good urban infill. I love renovating historic buildings and really all things that just really change the game. That's what I like.
Nice. I like it. I'm always a little jealous of people who started, their family was in real estate and they got that, growing up, you're swinging a hammer, putting on those helmets. It's always good to hear.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing, Gabe. When you're in those families, they teach you what to do, not how to do it. So then you have to fight to learn the how. So in essence, they want to keep you as like that free, cheap labor, and you want to learn the deals, right? So there's a pro and a con to it.
There you go. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter right now, and I'm hoping one day I can start teaching her both how and what to do, and she can join the business like you did. But that's a long ways off.
Well, wait. Start with her now. We have family and health and wealth meetings with my kids, and so they at like 8 years old created their own personal financial statement. So
nice.
And they do simple math.
I like it. No, yeah, we literally just took her. We own a rental that's really near our own house, and we took her over there, and we were getting it ready, and she met the tenants and all that stuff. So she's well on her way. She's well on her way. But you've mentioned a few things in your intro story. You touched on creative financing a bit. or creative structuring of deals. And that was something I wasn't expecting you to kind of broach on, which is great. So you got into the construction side with your family. You kind of understood how that was working, but it wasn't until after, when you were doing your own deals, that you realized the potential in creatively structuring deals. And you mentioned like the acquisition fee, that I'm assuming that's what you're referring to there, getting paid to get the deal done. So tell us a little bit about that. What were some of the aha moments there?
Yeah. So I really didn't get into, and I call it creative stacking, because I think creative financing has bad blood with it, to be honest, from like the 08, 09. And it's really not the financing part. It's the how you stack it and what sources you bring in. And if you know about some of the sources, some people don't. And I left the family business in 2015 and relaunched the Kim Group, which at the time was just doing real estate and property management with a developer for fee service. And where we would be someone's developer, we'd help guide them through the process, taking their business, adding real estate to it, and really enabling them to grow, say, 3 times the size for 1.5 times the debt. And that was kind of that key sauce. So when you talk about...
And are these only... Yeah. You said you're helping businesses grow. Are these specifically real estate businesses, or are you going to I'm just giving an example, McDonald's? It wouldn't be McDonald's, but a McDonald's, and helping them build their construction side? Or give me a little bit more depth there.
Yeah. So I'll rewind it for a second. Like the construction side, we would do design, build, lease with an option to buy all the time. And so we worked with consulting companies, office like furniture companies. We had some daycares, restaurants, not necessarily McDonald's, but a couple other franchise like KFC, Subway, Long John Silver's. We worked with a lot of those, as well as financial advisors or people who are looking to start a development company. So we've helped a lot of people really start their development company, leave their W-2 job, whether they're working for a construction company or, they're doing investment on the side, but they just don't know how to make that leap. We help coach them, guide them, and then launch. I mean, really. So it's all realms of the businesses, really. It's if you're looking to level up your business, but you don't want to bring that debt of the growth onto it, and you want to bring real estate into your wealth building portfolio or your strategy, that's where we come into the conversation and really help you think from a strategic standpoint.
Interesting. Okay. And this is my own naivety when it comes to, building. People always refer to development and building construction. They refer to them independently. And in my mind, building something ground up they're all the same. So can you kind of tease those apart so I understand specifically, in development, what are you guys talking about when you say development? When you're saying, we're a builder, when you're saying we're a contractor, what are you talking about there?
Okay, that is a great question that it's not just you. So many people don't understand. So development actually has 7 different stages of development. And so where you choose to play at in that defines like what type or what phase you're at. And then you can have what product type. So, you can start like the first phase is land acquisition, right? The second phase is land banking, where now you have multiple parcels together. And at each phase, you're adding a value add product, right? So like if you buy a land, maybe you start to get entitlements and utilities to the land. Well, you're a land developer, right? You're a land banker developer. My close friends, she's like, I'm not a developer. I'm like, yes, you are. You do fix and flips. You're value add. Like that's one of the stages. And one of my girlfriends who does short-term rentals and turns them into like midterm. I'm like, you are doing a value add to the operations of that property. So anytime you take real estate and
anytime there's a construction component, there's a development component.
Yeah,
you would call
there
that
is.
person a developer.
Yeah. If you're adding value and making it more valuable, if you're adding some kind of component, making it more valuable, you're a developer with real estate.
But I mean, on the flip side, you can add value without any change to the structure of the property itself. Operationally, you can add value. Just sales and marketing, you can add value. I wouldn't consider that to be development.
So it's development in the fact that you're enhancing that model of the product. And so it's not a construction development, but it is an operation development. So it is one of the 7 stages. Building, operations, and maintenance is actually one of, I kind of feel it's a light phase of the development, but in those 7 stages, it is one.
Okay.
And that's hard for people to see, because when you think of developer, you think of those like massive subdivision developers or like the big multi-complex, and yes, those are developers too. And then when you look at the contractor or the construction part, that could be a general contractor, it could be a subcontractor, it can be somebody that's actually either, we call them like GCs, is a general contractor that would oversee the whole project. And sometimes they self-perform and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're a paper contractor. And then in terms of that, you have to see, like, somebody could build something and never own it. Like construction companies, a lot of times don't own the real estate. A lot of times they don't own the real estate in the company, which is a strategy, but they just construct for other people. So a developer would be doing it for themselves and or their company. And when we do developer for fee, we do it for someone else. So it's their development. They own it. They own all the decisions.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. So you've mentioned multiple times, you said 7 stages of development. Why don't you break that down? It doesn't have to be super in-depth, but just take us through the 7 stages in your mind. How does development kind of play out?
Yeah. Okay. So one is, it kind of starts from the origin story, right? So you have land. So you acquire land. That's the first one. And then at each stage, I can give you a cool slide to put up here with it. We teach it in the academy. You'd add it with like the entitlements. What are you providing a value? The next is land banking. So you put them all together, right? And then can be like that site development of making it what we call pad ready in terms of that, which means all the utilities are there, ready to go up and in. And then you have building development, which a lot of people think of development. And really that's the biggest one because you can see
Construction,
it, right? And so that's where people relate to it. The other one would be the building operations and management, right? So you're enhancing how it performs. And then you may repurpose it, would be the 6th one. So maybe you take, hot right now is taking office buildings that are blight and vacant, turning them into multifamily or turning them into a different use, taking the old Kmarts and turning them into self-storage, right?
Yeah. And I would call that repositioning. So that you would just call it a repositioning stage of development. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're adding value, right? You're taking something, you're repurposing it, you're repositioning it, and you're adding it to a better and higher use for where it's at right now. And then the last one would be like a demo and complete redo. Like, so you're taking existing building, going all the way back down to the core.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know. I feel like in real estate, there's no standard. Well, there's there's standardization when you're talking about specific KPI like cap rate. Everybody knows what it is. But when you're talking about how it's done, we haven't quite reached that level where there is standardization. And it's good to kind of put it into a framework that people can understand, especially when it comes to development, because I've heard that word thrown around so many times and I'm always like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that sounds like something else to me.
I know. And when you say that, Gabe, it's not you, it's everybody. Like, that's one of the hard parts when people are like, oh, you're a developer. It's like this magical vibe. It's like, what does that mean? What do you do? And, it just step into it because it is so complex. And I would say when I first started to dig in, because I have a master's in computer science, so I'm very analytical. I want to get to the numbers. I want to get to the details. And so when I was looking at how do I put together deals, I started going around and asking developers how they put together their deals. Like, I would ask them to go out to lunch, to coffee. I bought some of my attorney's time and just picked their brain. Like, you invest in real estate, how do you do it? And he told me afterwards, he's like, this is one of the most fun hours we've had or I've had with any client because, what are you doing? They want to tell you how they put it together. And I would say if anybody's interested in saying, I don't know how they do it, just ask. Like, I feel like we forget how to learn, right? We forget how to engage. And I love being able to teach people because when I was in that process, I had this aha moment and I was like, okay, and it was with my attorney and he knows how my brain thinks, right? So it was like, so what you're telling me is I have all these options out here that I can do. And I think like, this is a property I want to engage on. Can I bring this in? Can I bring this in? Start putting them into the funnel. And then however I can craft that deal is development. And he goes, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, So I phrased it a different way, right? Because you have to do two different analogies. I said, so like the coloring page, right? Where you have like the outline, you just mentioned your daughter, right? So I'm sure right now, she's probably not coloring inside the lines, right? So, which is the best part. So you have this design on a page, right? So the page is all the legal boundaries, the SEC boundaries, everything that's going to keep you out of jail, right? I mean, and a good human being. The outline is what you think you want the project to be, what you think you want it to do. And then when you color, you may color inside the lines, and then you may go outside. You may add some things that are out here it is. But as long as you're within that box, you're good to go.
Nice. I like it. That's a good metaphor.
Yeah.
So we are running down the time, but before we do, I always like to, you have a specialty in development. If somebody wanted to get involved, they want to start either doing exactly what you do, or they want to hire somebody like you. What are the first steps that they should take?
So first steps, I host a masterclass every month, and just to kind of walk through, like, is this something you want to get into? Talk about how to think through it. We launched an academy to help people exactly where they're at. And then you can also just engage with me and see where you want to go, what you want to do.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
I like it. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to push us off to the quick question round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's do it. It starts with education. And I need to rephrase this question because people always misunderstand it. But what I'm looking for is a specific individual recommendation, like an individual book you read or a conference or a mentorship program. So we need a recommendation for an educational piece of content that you've consumed yourself and you enjoyed. It could be a book, could be a conference, could be a mentorship program, but like a specific one that you've enjoyed and you feel other people would benefit from as well.
Yeah. Besides self-promoting, so let's put that aside. I would say right now, personally, I'm reading the Motivation Manifesto. That's a really good one to get out of your head and to level up, because each time we level up, we kind of get comfortable again, and we need to continue to push our capacity. In terms of like conferences and network groups, I really think those depend on where you're at in your journey. Seeking some of them. I'm a member of Go Abundance Women, Invest Her, Globe Street, Siri. There's a lot of different organizations. I would just recommend qualifying them, that they are the right group to speak into where your goals and your mindset are. Because if they're not aligned with them, they're going to be a waste of your time.
Hey guys, quick break from the show. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know we are always talking about how important it is to have the right mentors and partners in real estate, which is exactly why I've opened up the Real Estate Investing Club online community. It's a place for active investors to learn, collaborate, and get real deals done together. And right now, it is 100% free to join. We host weekly calls where we review deals, talk strategy, and share tactics. Just click the link in the description below and come join us. Nice. I like it. And I like how you said you have to get comfortable when you're leveling up. It rings so true, because whenever you're going to the next stage of your career, of your, what you're trying to do in real estate or anything else, it's always a little bit destabilizing. So you just feel like you're a little off your feet, but that's the right feeling. You need to stay there and let yourself figure it out. Let yourself get comfortable again, and then you can go on to the next stage. And it just continually, iteratively, you keep arriving at that feeling of discomfort. And I always I used to always try to go away from that feeling, but it's a good one. Whenever you're there, you're on the right path.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and uncomfortable with being comfortable. And that's when I'm comfortable. And people are like, oh, shit.
It's a problem. That's the problem. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Katie who was just on the job site with her mom or her dad. Go back to her, look her in the eye, give her one piece of advice moving forward.
Go. Don't be afraid. Go and be curious. I think a lot of times we overthink things and we think it's too complicated, as opposed to surrounding yourself with the right people who have been there, done that, and want to help you. And as soon as I started to engage those people, and we talk about leveling up, so each level having to really assess who's around you and in your circle, and do they have the equity in your life to talk to you, right? Do they have the equity in your life to guide you to that next level? And if not, you got to get a new 5. You got to get a new 5 people to surround you.
Nice. And that kind of goes along the vein that so many people echo here on the podcast, that I wish they got started sooner, or I wish I would have, not waited so long. Anytime somebody says something remotely like that, I like to point it back to you, the listener. If you're out there, you haven't gotten a deal done, this is your kick in the pants. Just go out there, get it done. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a small flip, could be a small rental, whatever it is. Just make sure and get it done, because that's going to start the ball rolling. You're going to get into that feeling of discomfort. And once you hit that, you're down the right path. And the ball's rolling. And that's what everybody wishes that they would have done sooner, is just get that ball rolling. So with that, I'm going to move us to the next question. This is about the US. It is a big place. There is a ton of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Right now is the Texas Triangle. There's huge, huge, huge growth. I was actually at an EDC meeting last night, and they are growing at a pace of 100% each year. And they have like 2 new grade schools, a middle school, and another high school all coming online in the next 3 to 5 years.
Jeez,
And
that's crazy.
the growth is insane. And just the opportunities are huge.
Yeah, Texas, we own some self-storage in DFW, and then some mobile home
yeah.
parks in San Antonio, and it's a great area. Just, Dallas to Houston to San Antonio, Austin, they're all great markets. Is there any sub-market in that, those are the major metros. Is there any like sub-market that you really like, or just anywhere in that area?
So I like to go to the secondary and tertiary markets, because a lot of times those are the communities that are trying to poise themselves for growth, and they're not there yet. So people haven't looked at them. They have a lot of the opportunities for economic incentives, which are where I like to play. And so you can pick up ground for cheap or free and to develop in. And so a couple opportunities in cities that are really poised for those growth is Hutto, which is right outside Taylor, and the Samsung plant that's there. Liberty Hill is the one I was at last night, that they're growing at 100% rate a year, and they're trying to really focus on their schools and keep them at that quality still. So I appreciate that. And then I would say the third is Killeen. I think Killeen gets overlooked so much, and they are so poised for that.
Yeah, we actually just did a land deal in Tyler, and Tyler's doing pretty good.
Yeah, Tyler's right next to Hutto, and that's where the Samsung is. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, whole area crushing it. All right, next question. Let's talk about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller, penning that purchase agreement. So, what is your favorite way to generate new leads? Can't talk this morning. And get in contact with the seller.
So I'm always a fan of building your network. As you said, like, get in the game, get started. If you build your network and ask and put out there what you're looking for, your network will help it come to you. So one of the things when I'm looking for new deals, if I'm going into communities, I'm talking with the EDCs in the cities first to see where they own land and where they want development to happen. And that's my strategy.
Tell people what EDC is.
Economic development, either council or committee. Sometimes they rename it in a different place, but that is really the entity that is focused on your economic growth within your communities. So they're looking at companies and jobs and coming in.
Perfect. All right. Next question is about lessons learned. Not every deal we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, pretty much every time something's going to go wrong, and that's when we get to learn a lesson. So what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you guys? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
I would say there's a couple of deals that we had that were either in construction or about to start construction when COVID hit, like take a deep breath, and really leaning in to my network, my partners, my team, and being open and honest about what was going on and communicating that and allowing their brain power to come into the deal. I always tell my team, like, if I'm not listening to your brain, I'm wasting money. And I think that that's a great way to look at your partners when you're bringing them in. Partner with people that have different scars than you do, and they have different experience than you do. And so when you have those times, bad news is bad news. Nothing is going to be solved by holding it in. So communicate it to your team and start working on those solutions faster. And people will appreciate that openness and that candor and that communication. And you're going to see that you're going to get a lot more buy-in into your partners and to your investors.
Nice. I like it. That is good advice. Next question is the obverse of that. We're talking about the highlight reels. Sometimes deals just go the way we expect it, and we kind of ride off into the sunset, and they sit in our mind as those deals that they're the highlight. They're the ones we liked. So take us to that deal for you. What is it and how'd it go?
So in development and construction, I don't think anything ever goes like perfectly smooth, but I would say the one that went according to plan would be our Trefsker's Bakery project, where we did a very creative financial stack on that, and we were able to get our business owners into a development that had them expanding 3 times the space for 1.5 times the cost, and the building was 6 times the space, so they had other tenants renting from them, and they got into a $5.5 million deal with only $50,000 in, only 1.8 of bank debt. And we exited our investors in 4 years with 353% return.
Not bad. Sounds like a deal
Not
to
bad.
me. I love it. All right. And that leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a 2-parter. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
Love it. So for the education component, you can find us at katiekim.com or on all the socials at the Katie Kim. And when you reach out, there's a place where you can book a call with us to see, where you at on your journey, and our team will help guide you into the resources that we can offer you at what stage you're at. And you can definitely look at our projects, our resources, and join us for a master class. They're free, and it just starts that conversation.
Perfect. I will put that link in the show notes. So if you guys want to reach out to Katie, all you got to do is click the little more in the description. It's going to pull down that full description. In there, you can find her links. All right, Katie, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a comment or a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.